Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today I'm back with Warhammer Age of Sigmar Broken Realms Be'lakor, the latest installment in the campaign books from GW that are kind of updating various war scrolls, adding new units, and we've kind of come to expect as like late stage of an edition Games Workshop, where there's kind of a first 2 years of an edition where they're releasing new battle tomes and updating battle tomes. We're in stage 2, where now they are updating like late stage 2 last time battle tomes with new units and new like war scroll battalions and some stuff you might expect to see later on in a book. Morathi, for instance, ended up in her battle tome after the Morathi Broken Realms book came out. So what's in this book? Well, you've got a whole lot of background. So in this one in particular, we've got what's been going on with the Slan and Be'lakor, and it's kind of setting up the next couple releases of books, it looks like. Specifically, they've spoiled models for the new Slan Mage Priest / Lord Croak, and the Realm Gates basically being now under threat with this Varan stone, whatever you want to call it, this new Realm Stone that they've been mining in the Varanthrax's Maw, which kind of ties together the Warcry Catacombs with the current Age of Sigmar storyline, and puts everything that's happening in Warcry in the 8 points kind of into perspective in regards to like the whole war of what's happening in the realms. It brings in sort of like what's been going on with Death and the invasion of Catacross and like his like forming of a beachhead, the closing of a couple realm gates. But the idea that this Varan stone, this new realm stone that he's mining, can corrupt and reopen the realm gates has, you know, Sigmar in a tizzy basically. Causes him to invade with the help of Morathi. Morathi betrays him because, you know, Morathi's gonna Morathi. And Be'lakor then, of course, used that opportunity to try and become Ascendants. We get all kinds of, you know, like general sort of like scheming amongst the various factions, and you've even got some throwouts basically to Curse City, in that there's actually a bad guy called the Eater of Tomes in this, who's a Gaunt Summoner that shows up briefly in a crisis in Curse City. We actually had it show up in one of the videos if you watch. It's just this like demonic entity that's eating all of the books in one of the like sort of like unexpected events that can take place during the game. So the primary feature obviously in this book is going to be the big bad new 80 mil base Be'lakor, who makes my poor little Juan Diaz Be'lakor look anemic and unfortunately kind of small, and his war scroll. If we look at the page breakdown, which I was trying to find, I think I flipped past it, unless there isn't one. No, there is. The first 66 pages are going to be the background. This is a 112 page book, so half of this is going to literally just be your sort of background on what's been going on in the realms. And if you're big into that and you're loving the Broken Realms series, then yay, half the book's for you. Then you've got your Cursed Skies update. It's the how to play the Flyers game, or sorry, the Broken Realms campaign, how to play the campaign of what's happening here with a bunch of linked narrative stuff, including siege rules. And that's sort of the next 20-ish pages when you get into Broken Realms, and then you get your battle tome updates. And the last 22 pages are battle tome updates. And in fact, there isn't a huge amount in here as far as battle tome updates go. When you get to like actual rules updates in the game, it's really just Be'lakor and a couple of odd units and a few war scroll battalions. So it feels a little bit more about like a what's to come than there is like totally new stuff. There's one totally new Night Haunt unit, but we'll jump in and get to there. So really that's it. There's no like new allegiances. This is a bit different from the Techless book, where you kind of had like a bunch of new ways to play an army. And I kind of wish there was, but we'll jump in and we'll go through, and I'll give my sort of like overall sort of like thoughts in this book when we're done. So we're skipping right to page 92. I'll quickly flip through and show you the campaign rules, I guess, and then we'll dive into like a deep dive in the rules, and we'll compare some old war scrolls to the new war scrolls. Yeah, so here's where we get to Broken Realms. Now, of course, just like the Techless book, if you want to play this campaign, you need to have access to the following armies: a Nurgle army, a Tzeentch army, a Legion of the First Prince army, a Legion of the First Prince army, the Eternal Conflagration army, the Legion of the First Prince army. And so Legion of the First Prince army is Also, like, able to play, and you also need a third player to play as a Heritans Overlord's army or a City of Sigmar army to fight this battle. Like, you need a bunch of different armies to play this. You need a Hallowed Knights army with Seraphon allies. You need a Thunder Lizard army. You need an Emerald Host army, a Stormcast Eternal army, a Hallowed Knights army, and a Stormcast Eternals army. So, like, there's a lot of armies required. And so playing in the Genesis Gate in Garan, playing in the Dolorm Gate in Shish, Prosperous and Kamon, and then playing the sieges, so how you can actually play a siege. It's kind of neat. Like, there's a bunch of different tactics you can do in each siege phase, but you play a bunch of linked games that ends up with the falling of the fortress, basically, which is kind of cool. And then you get the battle plans for all of these: Stampede of Scales, In the Court of Death, Gate of White Gold, Disaster at Arms Gate Zool, and then on Wings of Iron, which is the Caradron showing up and fighting with the Stormcast. And now we're in the Battle update. So again, a linked narrative campaign, but specific if you've got those armies or friends who have those armies to get together and play. So what's updated here? Slaves of Darkness, Wrath of the Everchosen, which is an update to the allegiance abilities for Legion of the First Prince. So basically updating his own little army that you can play. Night Haunts updates, Caradron Overlords updates, Seraphon, Disciples of Tzeentch, Fire Slayers, and Stormcast. A lot of these are just like a single war scroll though. So Be'lakor, wow, what's going on with Be'lakor? Well, he went up in points quite a bit, but obviously his stats have changed significantly. Now, most of this is already on Warhammer Community, but what we'll do is we will pull up the war scrolls just to do a dive and see if anything got missed or wasn't being talked about yet. Be'lakor, oh, his little team model from before. So his move is now 14 instead of 12. He's got 6 extra wounds, still 4+ save, still bravery 10. He still flies. He's the Dark Master. In Shadow form, he still ignores positive and negative, abilities. Lord of Torment, if an enemy unit fails a battle shock test within 12 inches, he still heals D3 wounds, which is the same. It's 12 instead of 10 inches now, though, which is a bit of a buff. And then the Dark Master, once per battle at the start of the enemy hero phase, pick an enemy unit on the battlefield. Until your next hero phase, at the start of each phase, you roll a dice for that unit on a 3+. They cannot move, shoot, fight, use command abilities, chant prayers, attempt to cast spells, attempt to dispel those spells, or attempt to unbind spells in that phase. So it's still the same odds. You roll the dice now, though, and you're looking for a 3+, as opposed to your opponent having to roll a 5+ to do it. So the ability is effectively the same. There's no secret pick though now. You can just wait until it's the unit you want to be once per battle, which is just a nicer way of doing things. And then he still is a cast 2 dispel 2 wizard, and he still knows Enfeeble Foe, which I think is the same. Cast on 6, pick an enemy unit with 18 in the cast or invisible, subtract 1 from wound rolls. Yeah, it's exactly the same. And then his core attacks and stuff have obviously gotten better. He had 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2/1 damage. Now his blade is 8 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2/2 damage. So better core stats with a 2-inch reach. He's got a Fell Claw. It's a single attack, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage. And his Spearing Tail, which is 1 attack, 2s and 1s to wound, -3/2 damage. So he has a potential damage output of 20 wounds per turn, which isn't bad. I mean, for like a kind of support piece, and he's mid-range expensive. He was, I think, 250-ish before, and he's in like the 300s now. He's like 350, so he's got up like 100 points for 6 extra wounds, and pretty much the same overall abilities defensively and otherwise. He's 380 now. Yeah, so I think he was 260-ish before. He's got up like 100 and change for effectively just a tougher Be'lakor. And that's his core stat updates. And then his Legion of the First Prince now. When you pick the Chaos Legions for your army, you can say it'll be a Legion of the First Prince army. If you do so, you only get Chaos and Demon keywords in your army. And all units in your army gain the Legion of the First Prince keyword. Can be used, and you can use, Legion's abilities in the following pages. So basically, you're stuck just using demons, and they have to have Chaos and Demons, so you can't use Seraphon, obviously. He's the first damn prince. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by Be'lakor while he's within 18 of at least one friendly unit of the following: Bloodletters, Horrors of Tzeentch, Plague Bearers, and Demonettes. So he has to have one of each of those. So if all those 4 units are following him around, he rerolls hit rolls. In addition, when you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Be'lakor, pick a friendly unit within 9. On a 4+, it's done to them instead. So It's basically, if you've got a big pool of like each of the types of Chaos guys flying around, weirdly not Furies, which are undivided like him, you can shrug off wounds to them, and then he gets to reroll his hits. Cursed Skies, the battle shock phase of Bellicor is your general on the battlefield. Roll a dice for each friendly unit in the battlefield with the following roll scrolls. Bloodletter, Horrors of the Ancient Plague Bearers, Demonettes, or Furies. The Furies are included in this one, and a 3+ D3 guys come back. But if it's a horror unit, you can only return one model of that unit. Infernal Realm Walkers, you can roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Legion of the First Prince unit. On a 6+, it's negated, so everybody gets the Chaos Lord ability, basically, a 6+ wound shrug. And then Unyielding Legions. At the end of your movement phase, you can pick one friendly Legion of the First Prince hero that's on the battlefield and roll 3d6. On a 10+, you can summon one of the following units to the battlefield and add it to your army. The unit that you can summon is determined by the hero's keyword. So basically, your heroes roll 3d6 and get a unit at the end of your movement phase. So every hero you have at the end of your movement phase generates a new unit on a 10+. And the average roll on 3d6 is an 11. So you make 10 Bloodletters, 5 Horrors, 10 Plague Bearers, or 10 Demonettes, or one unit of the above, or a unit of 6 Furies if it's Bellicor. So Bellicor can always make any of those units, and Furies. So this army just poops out demons now basically every turn for every hero you have. So you have 6 heroes, including Bellicor. You're making potentially 6, on average, probably 4 units a turn. Let's say you get 2 bad rolls, 4 new units of 10 guys every turn. That's a lot of demons. Sorry, you can pick one. Sorry, you can only pick one of them. Never mind. You're not making 4 units. You're only making 1 unit. You can pick one friendly Legion of First Prince hero on the battlefield. So yeah, it specifies 1. So it's not just any of them. Any of them could do it, but you can only do 1 per round. So you're getting, I mean, in a 5-turn game, you're getting 50 guys, potentially 50 wounds worth of models, which is huge. The summon unit must be set up wholly within 12 of the hero and more than 9 from the enemy, so you could zone them out. If the unmodified roll included a double, take a mortal wound. If it was a triple, it's D3 wounds instead because they like, exert themselves. And then Spell Lore, the Master's Command. You know this automatically for every wizard in the Legion of the First Prince. Cast on 7. If cast, pick a friendly Legion of the First Prince unit wholly within 12 of the caster invisible until the end of the battle round. If a model from that unit is slain by an attack made with a melee weapon, the model can fight before it's removed. And then Command Traits. Primordial Commander, pick a general to summon a unit using the Unyielding Legions, and you add 1. So basically you're +1 to do it. Ruinous Aura, add 1 to the roll for Infernal Realm Walkers if they're within 8 of a Legion of the First Prince unit and they're near the general, so within 8 of the general. So you're a 5+ wound shrug within 8 of him. And then Infernal Charge, you roll the charge rolls for Legion of the First Prince units wholly within 12 of the general. So Primordial Commander is good. I feel like Ruinous Aura is better. Just to get a big wound shrug on like a big unit of like, let's say, but I want Horrors probably. Horrors with a wound shrug would be like a huge tar pit. And then Artifacts, 4-fold Blade, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for the attack is a 5+, it does D3 mortal wounds and the sequence ends. Armor of the Pact, reroll save rolls for attacks made with the melee weapons that target the bearer. That's a good one if you could give it to Bellicor somehow, but you can't obviously. And then Saint Skin Banner, subtract 1 from the bravery of enemy units within 9 of the bearer. That's it. So there's your updated Legion of the First Prince. It's a neat all-demon and Bellicor army. So if you were trying to play, I guess it's like it's like a Chaos army. It's not even really a Slaves to Darkness army anymore. It's just Bellicor hanging out with an ungodly amount of demons that are mixed. But I mean, that's cool if you have that collection. A Nighthaunt Procession. After you've chosen the Nighthaunt Allegiance, you can choose either Emerald Host or Ragnor's Condemned Procession keyword. All Nighthaunt units in the army gain the keyword, and you can use this ability. So the Emerald Host is Lady Olinder, and the Ragnor's Condemned is obviously Ragnor's, and you can have those 2 heroes. The Emerald Curse. After armies are set up before the first battle round begins, you picked 1 enemy hero. For the duration of the battle, subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks to target that hero. So just curse somebody. That's pretty powerful. The new box set includes Lady Olinder, and I have a Nighthaunt army I've been meaning to like finish to 2,000 points. I'm really tempted to do this one. Knights of Regret. Add 1 of the attacks characteristic for melee weapons used by Hex Wraiths that make a charge move in the same turn. In addition, roll a dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to your general. If they're within 3 of the Hex Wraiths on a 2+, it goes to them instead. Again, handy, big units of Hex Wraiths. Lord of the Host, once per battle, you can use the command ability on the general's war scroll that's spending a command point. And then your artifact power is Traitor Knight's Blade. Add 1 of the attack characteristic of the bearer's Sword of Stolen Hours. But it has to be a Knight of Shrouds that has that. And then Ragnor's Condemned for the easy to build fly guy. he gets Unrelenting Taskmasters. This is their ability. You can reroll failed hit rolls for attacks made by friendly Reichnors condemned chain rasp hordes or glaive wraith stalkers while they're within 15 of any friendly spirit torments or condemned chain ghasts. So you up your range of the rerolls to 15 inches, which is nice. In addition, each time a friendly chain rasp horde unit, and sorry, it's all failed hit rolls, not just ones or something. Each time a friendly Reichnors horde, chain rasp horde, or glaive wraith stalkers unit, I mean it's glaive wraith stalkers though, which aren't the best unit, is affected by a spectral lure or temporal translocation spell cast by a guardian of souls, you can return d6 slain models to that unit, in addition to any models done by the spectral lure. So you double your healing, basically. Actually, more than double your healing. Accolade of the Grimhailer. If Reichnor the Grimhailer is included in the army, he's treated as a general in addition to your general. So you get 2 generals, which is cool, so 2 command traits. And then command ability. Death comes swiftly. You can use it in your command phase, in your movement phase. If you do so, pick a chain rasp horde or glaive wraith stalkers unit that's wholly within 12 of a hero, or wholly within 18 of your general. Add 6 to the unit's movement characteristic until the end of the phase. So speed up everybody by 6. And then your corpse candle for your hero. Once per battle in your hero phase, you combat the bear can snuff out a corpse candle. If they do so, your hero phase, pick the enemy bear or one enemy model within 12. The model you pick suffers a mortal wound. If the mortal wound was suffered by an enemy model, add 1 to your next casting roll. If the mortal wound was suffered by the bear, add 3. If the bear snuffs out the corpse candle in the combat phase, pick an enemy, pick the bear or enemy model. The model you pick suffers a mortal wound. If the mortal wound was suffered by an enemy, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by the bear. If the mortal wound was suffered by the bear, add 1 to hit and wound rolls. So you can hurt yourself for +1 to hit and wound, or hurt them for +1 to wound. So it's cool because it works for a combat hero or a casting hero, which is kind of nice. And then we've got our new stuffy stuffs, Dread Scythe Heritans. They are 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1/1 damage. 8-inch move, 4-up save. They're ethereal, so no modifiers, and 1 wound each. They're pretty great. Except for hitting on 4s, that's pretty amazing. The Slasher Crown has 4 attacks instead of 3. 1-inch reach, but like, that's a lot of dice. And they're part of this Soromon Choir, obviously. Harrowing Shriek, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy models with a bravery characteristic of 7 or less when they're within 3 of you. So you're basically also netters. And then Murderous Bloodlust. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a side limit is 6, it's 2 hits instead of 1. So they have exploding 6s to hit. They have -1 to hit when you're engaging them. And they're unmodifiable 4+ saves. And obviously you've got tons of things that can heal them and bring them back. So yeah, Dread Scythe Heritans might be my new favorite just like stabber unit. If they had a bigger reach, they'd be amazing, but they're pretty darn good the way they are. And then your Cruelgast Cruciator, and depending on the points, how many points are they actually? They are 120 points. Not battle line though, but pretty great. Sorry, 90 points rather, sorry, for 5. And they're 90 points for 5. 180 for 10. For 1 wound model, I mean, you have a lot of healing in your army, but 90 points for 5 1 wound models. That's getting into we're not worth our cost Sylvaneth units almost. So the Cruelgast Cruciator, 6-inch move, 6 wounds, 4+ save, bravery 10. He's got a Phantasmal Torture, which is a 12-inch range gun, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2/1 damage. Just a good armor piercing shot. And then Talons and Flensing Knives, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage. Model can fly, ignore modifiers positive or negative when making save rolls for attacks target this model. Because he's obviously ethereal. And then his Empowering Excruciations. If any wounds inflicted by this model's Phantasmal Torture are allocated to an enemy model, not negated, the model becomes empowered until your next shooting phase. The Deathless Spirit's battle trait and negates wounds allocated to friendly Nighthawk units within 12 of any friendly and Excruciators on a 5 instead of a 6. So if he hurts someone with shooting, his 12-inch aura of like Wound Shrug goes to a 5-up. That's pretty great for like a huge blob of chain rasps. You double your survival rate all of a sudden. And the Soromon Choir, which is a battalion, it has to include Orlinder, a unit of Heritans, and 2 Mirror Banshees units, which haven't changed. It costs 120 points. And the Crusader, by the way, is 120 points too. So, Eternal Handmaidens, roll dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Lady Orlinder. If she's within 3 of any units from this battalion, a 2+ goes to them instead. And then the Unrequited Queen, if this War Scroll battalion includes a Night Hunt army, or is included in Knight Army. Later renders your general in addition to being another general. So she gets Ragnar's ability if you use this thing. It's not bad. I mean, I like them. I don't know if I'd pay the tax of 2 units of Mirman Banshees. They're okay. And then we got new guild triumphs for the Caradron Overlord. And you can spend your Aether Gold on this. And then some bound spells for the Seraphon. So your guild triumphs, Aether Chemist Guild. So if you have a Caradron's Overlord army, you pick a triumph. You can choose from the triumphs in the following table in addition to any other triumphs you can choose from. So Overcharged Etheric Augmentation. Once per battle, when a friendly Aether Chemist uses their Etheric Augmentation ability, you can say it's overcharged. If you do so, you can, instead of pick a friendly unit of Skyfarers wholly within 18 of the model. If that model has the Chemist Supreme command trait, you can pick 2 instead of 1 with an 18. In both cases, the ability can be used even if the Aether Chemist is part of a garrison, but only on Skyfarers units that are part of the same garrison as the Aether Chemist. So basically, you can use it on guys in your ship with you, as long as you're on the same ship. And the Large Caliber Augmentation, once per battle, when a friendly sky vessel that has an Aether Chemist in its garrison is picked to shoot, you can say it'll perform the Large Caliber Augmentation. If you do so, pick a missile weapon that sky vessel's armed with. Reroll wound rolls of 1 when you shoot that phase. And then Guild Triumph, the Nav League. Once per battle, before a friendly Etheric Navigator attempts to dispel an endless spell or unbind a spell, you can say that they'll focus their Aether Sight. You can roll the dispelling or unbinding roll. And then Ride the Storm. Once per battle, before the vessel, before a friendly Etheric Navigator that's in a Sky Vessel's garrison uses the Aether Storm ability, you can say that they'll Ride the Storm. If you do so, add D6 to the Sky Vessel's move until the end of the turn, and you can reroll run and charge rolls. And then the Engineers Guild. The Gaffer's Motivation. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can pick a friendly Endrin Master and say that they'll motivate their apprentices. If you do that, Endrin Master can use their By Grugny, I have my eye on you command ability without a command point being spent. You can add 1 to the number of wounds healed by the Endrin Riggers unit. And then Blow the Magazine. Once per battle, when a friendly Sky Vessel that has an Endrin Master in its garrison is destroyed, before you roll to see if the model and the garrisons are slain, you can say they're going to blow the magazine. If you do roll a die, and a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 3, each enemy unit within 3 of the Sky Vessel takes a mortal wound. On a 4+, each enemy unit within 3 takes D3 mortal wounds, and on a 6, each enemy unit within 3 takes D6 mortal wounds. Then roll to see if garrison models are slain, set up the survivors, and remove the Sky Vessel from play. I like that one. Make yourself into a bomb when someone attacks you. It's kind of neat. Drongon's Aether Runners is your battalion, so it's an Endrin Master, and he's a special character, so no items for him. 2 Endrin Riggers units or Skyward units in any combination, and all units must be from Barrack Ziflin. And your ability is the fastest in the fleet. Add 3 to the move characteristic of units in this battalion. In addition, at the start of your movement phase, for each unit in this battalion, you can pick a friendly Sky Vessel within 3. You cannot pick the same Sky Vessel more than once. Add 3 to its move. So you can speed up your ships. I mean, when you can just pick up and go, though, I don't know. It could be handy late game. It costs 120 points to make yourselves Aether Runners. Then these are just the bound spells for Seraphon for the Soul Seeker, Soul Scream Bridge, Valagar, and Horrorghast, because they came out after that book. So I'm not even going to go through these because we all know what bound means. It's just they're bound to the Seraphon Wizards, which means they're better, and only they control them. The Celestial Stampede is your War Scroll Battalion. Stegadon with Skink Chief, who is Star Warden Icto, so you can't change him. And then the Engine of the Gods, or Stegadon, and a Bastiladon. And your unique character, and all units in this battalion must also have the Thunder Lizard keyword. So what do you get? Well, the abilities are the Ancient Telepotech. Star Warden Icto has the Prime Warbeast command trait from Battle Tome Seraphon, even if he's not your general. And then Lance of Cosmic Power. Once per battle at the start of your shooting phase, you can say that the battalion is going to shoot a Lance of Cosmic Power. If you do so, you cannot make Cosmic Engine rolls for that unit from this battalion in that phase. And you cannot use the Trove of the Old Gods or Old One Technology command ability. Instead, pick an enemy unit within 24 of Star Warden Icto and roll a dice for each Engine of the Gods from this battalion that's within 24. And roll 2 dice for each Bastiladon armed with a Solar Engine. For each 2+, that unit enemy suffers D3 mortal wounds. So basically, you're going to roll 4 dice, and for each 2+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So you could do 12 mortal wounds, basically, if you rolled incredibly hot. We've got Atrazan's Blazing Cavalcades. This is your Tzeentch War Scroll Battalion. And it's basically a Herald Fate Skimmer, so he's the special guy on a Burning Chariot. 1 to 3 Horrors units in any combination, and no more than 30 models in them. Sorry, with a combined model count of no more than 30 models. So you could have 1 unit of 30 or 3 units of 10, basically. And then your abilities are Gleeful Immolation, and one of the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by units from this battalion that made a charge move. If you intend to complete the Reckless Abandon agenda, you cannot pick from this battalion to complete that agenda. Whoops. So you can't do the agenda then. And then Opus Infernus, Atrazan the Immolator knows the Tzeentch Firestorm spell from Lord Change, in addition to any other spells they know, and you can add 2 to cast it. So better casting of Fire Simulation. Alright, and then Fire Slayers, you get a new Doomseeker profile. Well, let's see what's changed. Doomseeker. I miss the old Doomseekers when they had chains of, like, axe chains, and they flailed around like fanatics. Core stats are the same. 4-inch move, 4+ save, 5 wounds, bravery 8. Your Fire Steel Throwing Axe, 8-inch range, 4s and 4s now, -1/1 damage. So increase in rend, which is nice, and increase to hit and wound. And then you got a Doomseeker Axe, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage is exactly the same. And your Runic War Iron is 3s and 3s now instead of 3s and 4s, and 1 damage. Oathbound. Start of the first battle round, pick an enemy unit from this model, and they'll swear to destroy it. At the end of the combat phase, if this model is within 3 of that unit and has fought no more than once in that phase, they can fight again. Yep, same thing. And then in addition, in the combat phase, this model is slain while it's within 3 of the units sworn to destroy and has fought no more than once, they can fight again. So you always fight twice, basically, even if you die. And then Runic Power, add 1 of the damage characteristic of this model's melee weapons if it has 1 or more wound allocated to it. Add 1 if it's 1 wound, add 2 if it's 2 or more wounds. So you basically, your damage becomes 3 when you have 3 or less wounds left, which is pretty cool. And it automatically gets that if it fights when it's slain. And then your Grim Wrath Berserkers. We are core stats the same. 4-inch move, 4+ save, 6 wounds, bravery 9. Improved the Fire Steel Throwing Axes to 4+4+. And then the Great Axe is 3s and 3s, -2/2 damage. Exactly the same. With 4 attacks. So none of that changed. Battle Fury used to be, if it's within 3 inches of an enemy unit at the end of the combat phase, 2+ to pound and fight again. Same thing. Dead but not defeated. It used to be if this model is slain before we can play pound and fight. Yep, does it same thing. Grimwrath Oath. At the start of the first battle round, you can pick up 1 of the following oaths. The rules for the oath apply until the end of the battle. If your army includes more than 1 model with this ability, you cannot pick the same oath more than once. I will cut down the priests of Grimnir's enemies. Add 1 to hit and wound rolls. By this model, add 1 if they attack priests that don't have the Fire Slayer keyword. I'll guard them with my life. When you pick this oath, pick a friendly Fire Slayer's hero model. It does not have the Magmadroth keyword. If that hero is within 3 inches of this model and not within 3 of a friendly Auric Hearthguard unit, roll a dice. On a 2+, sorry, if they take a wound, on a 2+, it's allocated to them instead. In addition, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this model when they're within 3 of the hero. So they're just buffed all the time, too, when they're within range of a hero. Oh, nothing stand in my way. This model can run and still charge. In addition, reroll run charge rolls. I'll prove Grimnir's might to our allies. Add 1 to hit and wound rolls if they're within 12 inches of a friendly allied unit. I'll not be stopped. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model. Add 1 to the roll if there's any enemy units within 3. On a 6+, it's negated. So he's a 6+ wound shrug, and it's a 5+ wound shrug when he's in combat. And then I will strike hard and true in Grimnir's name. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by this model is a 6, that attack inflicts a mortal wound in addition to normal damage. You get exploding 6s to wound. I don't know. They're all pretty situational, but I feel like cut down the priests of Grimnir's enemies is terrible, because there's not that many priests in the game. I think I'll not be stopped is probably the best all-around one. He just gains a wound shrug and it gets better. Run and charge is handy too, though. Those two I think are my top 2. Yeah, because you might not have allies, and the exploding 6, you only have 4 attacks, so it's actually kind of not great. And then last but not least, we got Gardas Steel Soul. Is he in here? I think he was a special character. I can't remember. He might have been in a novel. Gardas. Is he even a thing? No, he's not. So what's he got? He's a Lord Celestin. He's a 6-inch move, 4+ save, bravery 10, 5 wounds. He's got a Rune Blade, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage. Warhammer, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, 1 damage. He's basically just a Lord Celestin. Or of Purity, 5+ wound shrug. In addition, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound, a mortal wound to a friendly Hallowed Knights unit within 12. On a 6, it's negated. So he defends the Hallowed Knights against mortal wounds. Martyr Strength, if he's slain, roll a dice on a 2+, pound and fight, and then be removed. Saintly Assault. Once per battle at the start of your charge phase, you can declare that this model and other friendly Hallowed Knights models or heroes within 12 of this model will launch a Saintly Assault. Reroll charges, and you're +1 to your attacks and your melee weapons. So that's a nice... I mean, he's fast enough, I guess. You could have him lead in some cavalry and gain a bunch of attacks on cavalry, which would be nice. And then Sigmarite Warcloak. In your shooting phase, this model can make D6 storm magic attacks for each strike, pick an enemy unit within 16. And roll a dice on a 4+, take a mortal wound. Ooh, interesting. It's a different unit. For each strike, pick an enemy unit within 16. That's going to be a change. You can't pick this. It doesn't say you can't pick the same unit more than once, I guess. So you can just dump them all into one thing, or you can split them up. And then Fierce Retribution is the standard Lord Celestin one. If pick a friendly model with this command ability that's within 3 of an enemy unit, add 1 to hit rolls for Stormcast Eternals that are within 12, wholly within 12, when they attack that phase. So +1 to hit. And that's it. Blazing Cavalcade costs 150. Doomseekers are 90. Grimwrath Berserkers are 110. Drongthongs Aether Runners are 120. Cruel Gas Crusaders are 120. The Dread Scythe Heritans are 5 to 20. 90 per 5, or 320 if they're discounted. So you get a glass unit for 10 points, basically. And the Sorrowmorn Choir is 120 points for the battalion. Celestial Stampede is 140 points. Horrorghast is 60. The Soulseeker is 70. Valagar is 40. And the Bridge is 110. Bellicor is 380. And Gardas Torso is 110. So just a tiny bit more than a normal Lord Celestin. And that's it. All through. So, Bellicor. I mean, there's not a ton, this isn't a ton of stuff. So, I feel like, unless you're really, really into the Mortal Realm stuff, most of this is going to come into Azer pretty quickly. If you're just looking for rules, maybe sit this one out. If you're super excited about the Mortal Realm stuff and the Siege stuff, then grab it. I'm excited to try the Bellicor stuff. I need to paint a bunch of demons though, but I'll put them on the table. Maybe use Baby Bellicor, just try the War Scrolls out. And you'll see that in the near future. So anyway, big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more Broken Realms, GMG reviews, and of course all the other GMG reviews in the future. Till I'm Ash. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Deathray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.